In the sprawling and tumultuous universe of Warhammer 40,000, where chaos and order wage an eternal struggle, few entities encapsulate raw desire and unrestrained ambition as vividly as Slaanesh. Known as the Dark Prince, the Chaos God of Excess, and the Lord of Pleasure, Slaanesh is a paradoxical force, a deity that promises boundless ecstasy while consuming all who dare to embrace its gifts. Yet, for all its carnal allure and hedonistic manifestations, Slaanesh's ultimate vision of the universe is far more profound and insidious than a mere playground of indulgence. It is a reimagining of existence itself, twisted through the lens of insatiable yearning. The origins of Slaanesh are as tragic as they are fascinating. Born from the unbridled decadence of the ancient Aeldari, Slaanesh embodies both the pinnacle of their culture and the devastating hubris that led to their downfall. As the youngest of the Chaos Gods, Slaanesh represents a unique aspect of the Imperium, a realm where beauty, sensation, and creativity are elevated to divine status, only to spiral into depravity and destruction. This duality makes the Dark Prince not just a patron of excess, but a master manipulator, using mortal and immortal alike to weave a vision of the cosmos that is simultaneously tantalizing and horrifying. At its core, Slaanesh's vision of the universe is one of absolute freedom. Freedom from restraint, from morality, and from the burdens of consequence. In this idealized reality, every being is unshackled to pursue their deepest desires, no matter how twisted or self-destructive. It is a world where pleasure knows no limits, where pain becomes indistinguishable from ecstasy, and where the line between creation and annihilation is obliterated. To Slaanesh, this state of unrelenting indulgence is the purest form of existence, a symphony of sensations that transcends the mundane and the finite. Yet, this vision is not without its horrors. While Slaanesh promises fulfillment, the reality it delivers is an unending cycle of addiction and despair. Those who fall under its sway often find themselves consumed by their own cravings, their souls devoured to fuel the Dark Prince's insatiable appetite. Entire civilizations have been obliterated in pursuit of this dream, their cultures reduced to ash in the name of excess. And still, Slaanesh beckons, its siren call resonating through the warp and beyond, offering a glimpse of a universe where every whim is realized, but at an unimaginable cost. To fully grasp the magnitude of Slaanesh's vision, one must delve into the myriad ways it manifests across the galaxy. From the corrupted nobility of the Imperium to the haunted remnants of the Aeldari, and even within the twisted legions of chaos itself, the influence of the Dark Prince is pervasive and deeply personal. Each act of excess, no matter how small, becomes a thread in the tapestry of Slaanesh's grand design, a universe redefined by the eternal pursuit of pleasure. In this narrative, we will unravel the layers of Slaanesh's vision, exploring its origins, the key players who perpetuate it, and the devastating consequences of its realization. Through the lens of technology, tactics, heroes, and villains, we will seek to understand the mysteries that shroud this Chaos God's ultimate goal. What lies at the heart of Slaanesh's seductive dream? Is it merely an extension of its insatiable hunger, or is there a deeper, more enigmatic purpose to its machinations? As we journey through this dark and mesmerizing aspect of the Warhammer 40K universe, one thing becomes clear. To confront Slaanesh's vision is to confront the very essence of desire itself and the abyss that lies beyond. The story of Slaanesh's vision of the universe begins long before the Dark Prince's birth. It traces its roots to an age of splendor and decay among the Aeldari, a civilization unmatched in technological prowess, artistic achievement, and cultural sophistication. At the height of their empire, the Aeldari reshaped the galaxy, mastering the mysteries of the warp and weaving a society that appeared utopian on its surface. Yet beneath this facade of perfection lay the seeds of ruin, a hedonistic descent into indulgence that would ultimately give rise to Slaanesh. The Aeldari were not always creatures of excess. In their early history, they valued discipline, intellectual exploration, and balance between the physical and spiritual realms. However, as their technological mastery rendered material needs obsolete, they began to turn inward, seeking fulfillment through sensation, art, and experience. What began as a pursuit of beauty and knowledge gradually degenerated into unchecked decadence. Over millennia, their society fractured, with various factions indulging in pursuits that ranged from the sublime to the grotesque. Pleasure cults emerged, their rituals pushing the boundaries of morality and sanity. These cults grew in influence, their whispers echoing through the halls of Aeldari power, sowing discord and feeding on the unspoken fears of their people. The warp, a mirror of the emotions and thoughts of sentient beings, began to swell with the energies of Aeldari excess. Each act of indulgence and cruelty added to a storm brewing in the Imperium, a storm that would eventually take form as Slaanesh. The Aeldari, blinded by their arrogance and consumed by their pursuits, failed to notice the warnings. Those who foresaw the consequences were dismissed as pessimists or heretics, their voices drowned out by the siren call of indulgence. This hubris became the foundation of a cataclysm that would reshape the galaxy forever. When Slaanesh was finally born, the event was apocalyptic. The psychic shockwave obliterated vast swaths of the Aeldari Empire, consuming countless souls in an instant. The Imperium itself was torn asunder, giving rise to the Eye of Terror, a scar on reality that serves as a constant reminder of the Aeldari's fall. Yet this was not merely the birth of a chaos god, it was the manifestation of a new vision for existence. Slaanesh was not content to simply feed on the remains of the Aeldari. The Dark Prince sought to impose its will on the galaxy, reshaping it into a reflection of its desires. The survivors of the Aeldari catastrophe were divided. Some clung to ancient traditions, seeking to atone for their civilization's sins. Others embraced the new reality, becoming willing servants of Slaanesh. Each path represented a response to the Dark Prince's vision, a vision that promised freedom from the constraints of mortality and morality. Slaanesh's influence extended far beyond its followers, however. The energies unleashed during its birth permeated the galaxy, corrupting not only the Aeldari, but any who dared to delve into the darker aspects of the warp. Through its agents, Slaanesh began to weave a web of corruption, exploiting the weaknesses of mortals and immortals alike. Artists seeking perfection, warriors pursuing glory, and rulers craving power all became pawns in a game far beyond their understanding. Each act of excess, no matter how seemingly insignificant, fed into Slaanesh's growing dominion. The Dark Prince's vision was not confined to a single race or region. It was universal, an all-encompassing drive to transform the galaxy into a playground of unrestrained sensation. This vision found fertile ground among the myriad factions of the Warhammer 40,000 universe. The Imperium of Man, with its rigid hierarchy and relentless drive for survival, harbored countless individuals vulnerable to Slaanesh's temptations. Even within the ranks of chaos itself, Slaanesh stood apart, offering a form of rebellion that appealed to those weary of the endless strife between the other chaos gods. To some, the promise of Slaanesh was liberation. To others, it was annihilation wrapped in a seductive guise. As the story unfolds, the influence of Slaanesh continues to grow, shaping the galaxy in ways both overt and subtle. From the echoes of its birth among the Aeldari to its pervasive presence in the modern era, Slaanesh's vision remains a potent force, challenging the very fabric of existence. The Dark Prince does not merely seek to conquer, it seeks to redefine what it means to live, to feel, and to exist. In the next chapter, we will delve into the key figures and factions that perpetuate this vision, exploring their roles in the grand tapestry of Slaanesh's dark ambitions. The path to the birth of Slaanesh and the shaping of its vision was paved by the unchecked ambition and desires of countless individuals and civilizations across the galaxy. These desires, though diverse in their nature, shared a common thread: the relentless pursuit of satisfaction, fulfillment, and transcendence beyond the constraints of mortal existence. It was not one single moment that brought forth Slaanesh, but a series of interconnected events and psychological shifts, each adding momentum to an inevitable conclusion. The Aeldari played the most pivotal role in the genesis of Slaanesh, their civilization serving as both the cradle of its creation and the first victims of its awakening. Over millennia, the Aeldari's mastery of science, art, and psychic abilities elevated them to near godlike status. They could manipulate the very fabric of reality, reshape worlds, and extend their lives indefinitely. But with such unparalleled power came an insidious danger: the erosion of restraint. As their needs and wants were effortlessly fulfilled, the Aeldari began to lose the sense of struggle and purpose that had once defined their culture. Their focus shifted inward, toward hedonistic pursuits that became increasingly extreme. This cultural decline was not an overnight transformation. It began with an innocent fascination with beauty and pleasure, a natural consequence of their creative and intellectual brilliance. However, the absence of external challenges left a void that they sought to fill with ever greater indulgences. Entire segments of their society devolved into hedonistic cults, each vying to push the boundaries of sensation and experience. What had started as an exploration of beauty became an obsession with excess, a spiral of self-destruction that corrupted their once proud civilization. The Imperium, or warp, reflected these changes. The Aeldari's psychic nature made their emotions and actions particularly potent in shaping the warp's energy. As their desires grew darker and more insatiable, the warp became increasingly unstable, brimming with the essence of excess, lust, and decadence. This cumulative energy began to coalesce, forming a psychic storm unlike any other, a storm that would eventually give rise to Slaanesh. The birth of this chaos god was not just a reflection of the Aeldari's downfall, but a manifestation of their collective desires, twisted into something monstrous. The Aeldari were not the only contributors to the conditions that allowed Slaanesh to emerge. Across the galaxy, other species and individuals also fed the currents of excess in the warp. Humans, though far less advanced than the Aeldari, displayed similar tendencies. Ambitious rulers sought power at any cost. Artists sacrificed their sanity for fleeting moments of inspiration, and countless others succumbed to their basest instincts. Each act of greed, cruelty, or obsession added to the growing energy in the warp, creating a fertile ground for the Dark Prince's emergence. Even within the realms of chaos, the seeds of Slaanesh's vision were sown long before its birth. The other chaos gods, entities of hatred, decay, and ambition, indirectly contributed to the conditions that allowed Slaanesh to rise. Their eternal conflict, marked by cycles of destruction and renewal, created an environment in which a new and different form of chaos could flourish. Where the other gods thrived on war, despair, and domination, Slaanesh offered something unique: a seductive escape from the harshness of existence, an intoxicating promise of fulfillment that was as alluring as it was dangerous. The birth of Slaanesh marked a turning point not just for the Aeldari, but for the entire galaxy. It was a moment of profound transformation, a cataclysm that revealed the terrible power of unchecked desire. But while the event itself was devastating, it was merely the beginning of a larger narrative. The Dark Prince's vision of the universe, rooted in the excesses that led to its creation, began to take shape, spreading its influence far and wide. This vision did not emerge fully formed. It was shaped by the actions and choices of countless beings, each contributing to the tapestry of Slaanesh's ambitions. Artists who sought perfection, warriors who craved the thrill of battle, and rulers who pursued absolute control, all became unwitting participants in the realization of this vision. Over time, Slaanesh's influence grew, intertwining itself with the lives and destinies of those it touched. As we delve deeper into the unfolding of Slaanesh's vision, we will uncover how these events laid the foundation for its enduring influence, as well as the pivotal moments and figures who perpetuated its dark ambitions. The story of Slaanesh is not just a tale of excess. It is a cautionary narrative about the consequences of unrestrained desire and the allure of a dream that promises everything but delivers only ruin. The emergence of Slaanesh was not a singular event, but a series of interconnected phases that shaped the trajectory of its vision across the galaxy. Each stage of this evolution, from the initial moments of its birth to the vast influence it exerts in the present, represents a critical development in the Dark Prince's pursuit of a universe molded in its image. The first stage was the birth of excess, marked by the psychic implosion of the Aeldari Empire. As the crescendo of their decadence reached its peak, the collective psychic energy of their hedonism coalesced into a singularity within the warp. This event shattered the boundaries between the material and immaterial realms, creating the Eye of Terror and unleashing Slaanesh into existence. Its birth cry was a cataclysm that consumed untold trillions of Aeldari souls, hollowing out their empire and leaving behind only scattered remnants. The survivors who avoided annihilation fled to different paths, some seeking refuge in asceticism, others surrendering to Slaanesh as willing devotees, and many struggling to preserve fragments of their culture. The next phase was consolidation of dominion. Slaanesh, newly formed and hungry for power, began to assert its influence within the warp and beyond. Unlike the other Chaos gods, whose dominions are driven by conflict, despair, or decay, Slaanesh's approach was deeply personal and insidious. It sought to entangle beings through their desires, offering them fulfillment in exchange for their souls. This tactic proved devastatingly effective, as it allowed Slaanesh to establish a foothold among not just the broken remnants of the Aeldari, but also among humans and other species who found themselves vulnerable to the lure of excess. With each soul claimed, Slaanesh's power grew, fueling its ability to shape the warp and influence reality. This stage saw the rise of its mortal agents, cultists, warlords, and artists whose ambitions aligned with the Dark Prince's ideals. These individuals became conduits for Slaanesh's vision, spreading its corrupting influence through their own actions and inspiring others to follow. The expansion of the cults of excess marked the third stage in Slaanesh's rise. Its allure transcended species and borders, infiltrating the Imperium of man and other factions. Secret societies dedicated to the pursuit of pleasure and sensation sprang up across countless worlds, their rituals feeding the Dark Prince's insatiable hunger. These cults often masqueraded as harmless gatherings, but their true purpose was far more sinister. They served as recruiting grounds for Slaanesh's mortal servants, breeding chaos within otherwise orderly societies and undermining the stability of entire star systems. On the battlefield, Slaanesh's vision took a more direct form. The warriors who served the Dark Prince became embodiments of its ideals, their enhanced speed, grace, and precision, a reflection of its perfectionist nature. These warriors, often clad in ornate and unsettling armor, carried out Slaanesh's will with deadly efficiency. Their presence on the battlefield was not only a physical threat, but a psychological one, as the sheer beauty and terror of their forms captivated and paralyzed their enemies. The fourth stage, confrontation and resistance, saw the galaxy respond to Slaanesh's growing influence. Among the Aeldari, the Craftworlders developed the Path system to shield themselves from the temptations that had led to their downfall, while the Harlequins and Exodites pursued their own methods of avoiding corruption. In the Imperium, the Inquisition and Ecclesiarchy launched purges to root out Slaaneshi cults, often with brutal efficiency. Despite these efforts, Slaanesh's influence proved resilient, adapting to the opposition and finding new ways to infiltrate even the most fortified societies. The fifth and ongoing stage can be described as the refinement of the vision. Slaanesh's influence has become more nuanced and far-reaching, shaping not only individuals, but entire cultures. Its agents have learned to manipulate art, politics, and warfare to advance the Dark Prince's goals. From the ornate cathedrals of corrupted noble houses to the haunting melodies of its chosen musicians, Slaanesh's vision manifests in ways that are as subtle as they are devastating. The Dark Prince no longer relies solely on overt displays of power. Instead, it thrives on the gradual erosion of morality, the quiet corruption of ideals, and the slow descent of its victims into obsession. Across these stages, Slaanesh's vision has remained consistent. A universe where desire reigns supreme, and every being is free to pursue their innermost cravings without restraint. Yet this freedom is an illusion, for those who succumb become slaves to the very desires they sought to fulfill. In this way, Slaanesh's vision is both a promise and a curse, a seductive dream that masks the abyss waiting beneath. These stages of development reveal a chaos god that is as patient as it is relentless, weaving its influence into the very fabric of the galaxy. With every passing moment, Slaanesh's vision continues to evolve, drawing more into its web and shaping the destiny of the universe in ways both seen and unseen. The next turning point will undoubtedly be shaped by the clash of resistance and temptation as the galaxy struggles to contend with the Dark Prince's insidious and far-reaching ambitions. The pivotal moment that solidified Slaanesh's vision of the universe occurred during the cataclysmic event known as the Fall of the Aldari. This was not merely a tragedy for a single species, but a transformative occurrence that reshaped the galaxy and the warp alike. It was in this moment that Slaanesh's power surged into reality, forever altering the balance of the Imperium and leaving an indelible mark on the material universe. The fall was the culmination of millennia of decadence, hedonism, and unchecked desire within the Aldari Empire. Their once great civilization, unchallenged in its supremacy, turned inward as it sought ever greater heights of pleasure and sensation. Entire planets became dedicated to rituals of indulgence, with sprawling cities transformed into arenas of excess. Art, philosophy, and science gave way to depravity as the Aldari's thirst for new experiences drove them to explore realms of the psyche and warp that were best left untouched. This descent into corruption reached its peak with the emergence of the cults that venerated pleasure and sensation above all else. While some Aldari attempted to resist this growing tide, their voices were drowned out by the majority who embraced the new order. The cults were not merely gatherings of like-minded individuals, they were a psychic force, channeling the collective desires of their people into the Imperium. Over time, this accumulation of psychic energy created a critical mass in the warp, forming a nascent presence that grew in power and identity. The exact trigger for Slaanesh's birth remains shrouded in mystery, but it is believed that a final act of unspeakable excess within the core of the Aldari Empire tipped the balance. This act sent a psychic shockwave rippling through the Imperium, tearing apart the veil between realities. In that instant, Slaanesh was born, its awakening marked by an apocalyptic surge of energy that annihilated countless Aldari souls and left their homeworlds as lifeless husks. The devastation was not confined to the Aldari. The birth cry of Slaanesh reverberated across the warp, disrupting the domains of the other Chaos Gods and creating the Eye of Terror, a massive warp rift that persists as a scar on the fabric of reality. This event also had profound implications for the Imperium, solidifying Slaanesh's place among the Chaos Gods and marking the beginning of its active influence in the galaxy. Yet the fall was not just an end. It was also a beginning. For Slaanesh, this event marked the crystallization of its vision for the universe. The Dark Prince was no longer a mere psychic presence, but a fully realized deity with a clear purpose. Its goal was not simply to feed on souls, but to reshape existence itself into a reflection of its ideals. This vision was one of unrestrained freedom, where every being could pursue their deepest desires without fear of consequence. To Slaanesh, the universe was a canvas, and every act of indulgence or creativity added to the masterpiece it sought to create. In the immediate aftermath of the fall, Slaanesh began to assert its influence over the survivors. The Aeldari who escaped annihilation faced a dire choice: to resist the temptations of the Dark Prince or to succumb and become its servants. Many chose the latter, becoming the first of Slaanesh's mortal champions. These individuals, known for their exceptional beauty and talent, were drawn to the promise of immortality and perfection. They became the architects of Slaanesh's burgeoning empire, spreading its influence across the galaxy. This pivotal event also set the stage for the eternal struggle between Slaanesh and those who oppose its vision. The craft world Aeldari, who adopted a path of discipline to avoid falling to the same temptations, became staunch enemies of the Dark Prince. The Inquisition and Ecclesiarchy of the Imperium likewise began to recognize the threat posed by Slaanesh, launching crusades to eradicate its cults and followers. However, these efforts were often met with limited success, as the allure of Slaanesh proved difficult to resist. The birth of Slaanesh also had profound implications for the other Chaos gods. The newcomer disrupted the existing power dynamics within the Imperium, drawing the ire of its rivals. Khorne, Tzeentch, and Nurgle each viewed Slaanesh as both a threat and an opportunity, their relationships with the Dark Prince marked by a mix of conflict and uneasy alliances. This rivalry further shaped Slaanesh's vision as the Dark Prince sought to outshine its peers and establish itself as the preeminent force within Chaos. This critical moment of creation and consolidation defined the course of Slaanesh's existence. From the ashes of the Aeldari Empire, the Dark Prince emerged as a god of unparalleled beauty and terror, with a vision that continues to evolve and expand. The fall was not just a historical event, it was the genesis of a new paradigm, one that challenges the very foundations of morality, purpose, and existence in the Warhammer 40K universe. Slaanesh's vision, born in fire and decadence, remains a force that shapes the destinies of countless beings, offering both the promise of transcendence and the certainty of ruin. The impact of Slaanesh's vision on the universe is as profound as it is insidious, influencing every corner of the galaxy in ways both seen and unseen. From the psychic scars left by its birth to the cultural and existential corruption it spreads, the Dark Prince's presence has reshaped the destinies of countless civilizations and individuals. Its influence weaves through the material and immaterial realms, creating ripples that alter the very fabric of existence. One of the most immediate consequences of Slaanesh's emergence was the creation of the Eye of Terror, a massive warp rift that stands as a monument to the catastrophic power of unrestrained desire. This tear in reality serves as both a sanctuary for chaos and a constant threat to the galaxy. Within its shifting boundaries, the Dark Prince's domain flourishes, a realm of impossible beauty and unimaginable horror, where the laws of physics give way to the whims of excess. The Eye of Terror is a hub of Slaanesh's influence, from which its followers launch incursions into the material realm, spreading chaos and decadence wherever they tread. For the Aeldari, the birth of Slaanesh was not just a moment of destruction, but a curse that persists to this day. The souls of their people are eternally bound to the Dark Prince, drawn to its insatiable hunger upon death. This has forced the survivors to adopt desperate measures, from the use of soul stones to the construction of spirit-saving craft worlds. Even so, Slaanesh's shadow looms large over their existence, a constant reminder of their ancient folly. The Harlequins, Exodites, and even the enigmatic Inari each navigate this peril in their own ways, yet none can escape the far-reaching grasp of the Dark Prince entirely. Among humanity, Slaanesh's influence has infiltrated the Imperium in ways that are both subtle and overt. While the Adeptus Ministorum and the Inquisition strive to maintain rigid control over the morality and beliefs of humanity, cracks in the facade are inevitable. Slaanesh thrives in these cracks, finding fertile ground among artists, nobles, and even soldiers who yearn for something more than the unrelenting grind of the Imperium's oppressive existence. Cults dedicated to the pursuit of sensation and perfection arise in secret, their members willing to risk damnation for the promise of forbidden pleasure. On the battlefield, the warriors of Slaanesh embody the god's vision with terrifying clarity. These fighters are not mere combatants. They are works of art in motion, blending grace and ferocity in ways that mesmerize and terrify their foes. Their speed, precision, and unorthodox tactics often leave their enemies unbalanced, both physically and psychologically. The presence of Slaaneshi forces in a conflict can destabilize entire campaigns, as their unique approach to warfare defies conventional strategies and exploits the weaknesses of more disciplined armies. The cultural impact of Slaanesh's vision extends far beyond the battlefield. Across the galaxy, its influence manifests in countless forms, from the hauntingly beautiful works of art created under its inspiration to the collapse of entire societies consumed by their own desires. This corruption is often gradual, seeping into the hearts and minds of individuals before spreading outward to infect larger communities. Whether it takes the form of an artist sacrificing their sanity for a masterpiece, a ruler compromising their morals for power, or an entire civilization descending into hedonism, the result is the same: the gradual erosion of purpose and identity, replaced by a relentless pursuit of unattainable satisfaction. Even the other Chaos Gods are not immune to the effects of Slaanesh's vision. The Dark Prince's emergence disrupted the delicate balance of power within the Imperium, forcing its rivals to adapt to a new dynamic. While Khorne, Tzeentch, and Nurgle each represent different aspects of chaos, Slaanesh's unique focus on excess and desire adds a new dimension to their eternal conflict. This interplay of rivalries further amplifies Slaanesh's impact as the battles for dominance within the warp spill over into the material realm, creating chaos on a galactic scale. One of the most devastating aspects of Slaanesh's influence is its ability to exploit the aspirations and weaknesses of its victims. The Dark Prince does not merely tempt, it offers visions of perfection, fulfillment, and transcendence that are almost impossible to resist. This allure is universal, transcending species and cultures. From the hive cities of the Imperium to the hidden enclaves of the Aldari, the temptation of Slaanesh finds its way into the hearts of the vulnerable and the ambitious alike. As Slaanesh's vision continues to unfold, its impact grows more profound, shaping not only the present, but also the future of the galaxy. The Dark Prince's influence serves as both a reflection of the worst excesses of sentient beings and a cautionary tale about the dangers of unrestrained ambition. Its vision is not just a dream, but a force of change, reshaping the universe in ways that are both seductive and destructive, leaving a legacy that will endure for as long as the stars themselves burn. Slaanesh's vision of the universe is defined by its unparalleled focus on excess, perfection, and unrestrained freedom, creating a tapestry of unique aspects that distinguish it from the ambitions of the other Chaos Gods. These aspects are not merely tools of corruption, but essential elements of the Dark Prince's ethos, each weaving a thread in the greater narrative of its influence across the galaxy. At the core of Slaanesh's vision lies the concept of perfection, not in the sense of moral or structural integrity, but as the ultimate realization of personal desire. For Slaanesh, perfection is subjective and fluid, adapting to the dreams and fears of each individual it touches. This makes its influence deeply personal and seductive, as the Dark Prince offers not abstract promises, but specific and intimate visions tailored to the innermost cravings of its victims. Whether it is the pursuit of artistic mastery, martial skill, or carnal pleasure, Slaanesh whispers the promise that every goal can be achieved, every boundary surpassed. Unlike the other Chaos Gods, whose realms often reflect despair or brutality, Slaanesh's domain in the warp is a paradox of beauty and horror. It is a landscape of unimaginable grandeur, where every sensation and aesthetic is heightened to an unbearable degree. Towering spires of crystalline perfection rise above fields of vibrant, surreal landscapes, their beauty concealing the lurking dangers that prey on those who wander too far. Everything in Slaanesh's realm is designed to captivate, from the intoxicating aromas that fill the air to the hauntingly beautiful sounds that echo endlessly. Yet this beauty is a trap, a facade that masks the endless suffering and eternal enslavement of those who fall under Slaanesh's thrall. Slaanesh's ability to manipulate the senses and emotions of its victims is perhaps its most unique and terrifying attribute. While the other Chaos gods rely on brute force, cunning, or decay, Slaanesh operates through subtlety and temptation. Its presence often begins as a gentle nudge, a fleeting thought or feeling that seems harmless at first. Over time, this influence grows, gradually consuming the individual's mind and soul until they are entirely under its control. This gradual erosion of willpower makes Slaanesh one of the most insidious forces in the galaxy, capable of turning even the strongest and most virtuous into willing servants. One of the more unique aspects of Slaanesh's vision is its relationship with art and creativity. While other Chaos gods focus on destruction, stagnation, or manipulation, Slaanesh revels in creation. Artists, musicians, and performers are often among its most devoted followers, drawn to the Dark Prince by their desire to achieve transcendent beauty or innovation. However, the inspiration Slaanesh provides is always tainted, driving its devotees to obsession and self-destruction. Many of the galaxy's most hauntingly beautiful works of art are said to be the result of Slaanesh's influence, each carrying with it a curse that echoes the torment of its creator. Slaanesh also stands apart in its approach to warfare. Unlike the raw brutality of Khorne or the calculated schemes of Tzeentch, Slaanesh's forces fight with a grace and elegance that are as mesmerizing as they are deadly. Every movement, every strike is an act of artistry, designed not just to kill, but to captivate. The warriors of Slaanesh often rely on speed and precision, their attacks calculated to exploit the weaknesses of their enemies both physically and psychologically. This unique approach to combat reflects the Dark Prince's philosophy, where even the act of war becomes a stage for the pursuit of perfection. The physical manifestations of Slaanesh's influence, from its demons to its mortal champions, are unlike anything else in the galaxy. Each embodies the Dark Prince's ideals in ways that are simultaneously alluring and grotesque. Its demons are often unnervingly beautiful, their appearances blending the lines between the desirable and the abhorrent. These entities serve as avatars of Slaanesh's vision, their forms a testament to the duality of pleasure and pain that lies at the heart of its power. Slaanesh's unique approach to its followers is another defining aspect of its vision. Unlike the other Chaos gods, who often demand blind servitude or impose their will through fear, Slaanesh appeals to the desires of its followers, presenting itself as a partner rather than a master. This makes its cults particularly dangerous, as their members often see themselves as empowered rather than enslaved. They believe they are pursuing their own dreams, unaware that they are pawns in a far greater and darker scheme. This illusion of agency makes Slaanesh's influence difficult to detect and even harder to combat. Perhaps the most unique and chilling aspect of Slaanesh's vision is its inherent adaptability. While the other Chaos gods are often tied to specific emotions or philosophies, Slaanesh thrives on variety and change. Its ability to evolve and expand its influence based on the desires of its victims allows it to infiltrate societies, organizations, and even entire cultures with frightening efficiency. Whether it manifests as an artist's muse, a warrior's drive for mastery, or a ruler's ambition for power, Slaanesh molds itself to fit the aspirations of its prey, making it nearly impossible to resist. These unique aspects of Slaanesh's vision reveal a Chaos god unlike any other, a force that embodies the duality of beauty and horror, freedom and enslavement, creation and destruction. Its influence is as intoxicating as it is destructive, offering a universe where every desire can be fulfilled at the cost of everything that makes life meaningful. Through its unique methods and philosophies, Slaanesh continues to reshape the galaxy, leaving a legacy of both breathtaking wonder and unimaginable despair. Among the countless beings who have shaped and embodied Slaanesh's vision of the universe, a few stand out as exceptional figures, each representing a facet of the Dark Prince's ideals. These individuals, whether mortal or demonic, are the agents through which Slaanesh's will is realized, their actions and ambitions leaving an indelible mark on the galaxy. Foremost among Slaanesh's champions is the Keeper of Secrets, Enkari. A being of immense power and boundless cruelty, Enkari is one of Slaanesh's most trusted demonic lieutenants. Known for its cunning and insatiable appetite for sensory overload, Enkari has orchestrated countless schemes in the material realm, spreading chaos and corruption in the Dark Prince's name. Unlike many other daimons who rely on brute force or overt displays of power, Enkari excels in manipulation and subterfuge, luring its victims with promises of pleasure and fulfillment. Its presence on the battlefield is as much a psychological weapon as a physical one, its unsettling beauty and hypnotic movements capable of breaking the will of even the most stalwart opponents. Another iconic figure aligned with Slaanesh is Lucius the Eternal, a mortal warrior whose story epitomizes the seductive allure of perfection and the price of hubris. Once a proud and gifted swordsman, Lucius sought to become the greatest duelist in the galaxy, a goal that ultimately led him into the embrace of Slaanesh. His vanity and obsession with his own skill made him an ideal candidate for the Dark Prince's favor, and through his unholy patronage, Lucius gained immortality, albeit in a twisted form. Should anyone manage to defeat him in combat and feel even the slightest pride in their victory, they are cursed to transform into a vessel for Lucius's consciousness, perpetuating his existence. Lucius is not merely a servant of Slaanesh, but a living embodiment of its ideals, his endless pursuit of mastery, and his grotesque immortality, a reflection of the Dark Prince's philosophy. Sybarites, the mortal leaders of Slaanesh's cults, also play a vital role in advancing its vision. These individuals, often drawn from the upper echelons of society, are gifted with charisma and a deep understanding of human or alien desires. They use their talents to recruit and indoctrinate others, spreading Slaanesh's influence through subtle manipulation and grand displays of decadence. Each Sybarite tailors their approach to their audience, ensuring that their message resonates on a deeply personal level. They often operate in the shadows, their cults infiltrating the highest levels of power before revealing their true nature. The Mask of Slaanesh, a unique and tragic demon, represents another facet of the Dark Prince's vision. Once one of Slaanesh's most favored performers, the mask fell from grace after an act of defiance and was cursed to dance eternally. Its performances, while mesmerizing and beautiful, carry an undercurrent of sorrow and despair, reflecting the duality of Slaanesh's influence. The mask's dances are not merely art. They are weapons, capable of enthralling entire armies or sowing discord among its enemies. Its tragic existence serves as both a warning and a testament to the power and danger of Slaanesh's gifts. Among the Eldari, the figure of Ivrain, the emissary of Ennead, stands as a notable counterpoint to Slaanesh's vision. While not a servant of the Dark Prince, Ivrain's life is inextricably tied to its influence. Her journey from a corsair captain to the leader of the Inari movement was marked by her defiance of Slaanesh and her struggle to reclaim Eldari souls from the Dark Prince's grasp. Through her connection to the god of death, Ennead, Ivrain represents hope for her people, a chance to break free from the cycle of corruption and enslavement. Her existence highlights the stakes of Slaanesh's vision, serving as a reminder of what is lost and what might yet be reclaimed. The Noise Marines, while often seen as a collective, include individuals of exceptional renown who epitomize the martial and sensory extremes of Slaanesh's followers. These warriors use their sonic weaponry not just to kill, but to create a symphony of destruction, turning every battle into an overwhelming sensory experience. The most gifted among them, such as Fabius Bile's creations, take this concept even further, experimenting with new ways to push the boundaries of sensation and chaos. These figures and countless others represent the diversity and complexity of Slaanesh's vision. Each plays a unique role in spreading its influence from the battlefield to the halls of power, from the decadent courts of mortal rulers to the shifting landscapes of the warp. Together, they weave a narrative of ambition, beauty, and destruction that continues to shape the galaxy in the Dark Prince's image, each step drawing the universe closer to a reality where desire reigns supreme. The vision of Slaanesh is an enigma wrapped in layers of temptation and chaos, raising profound questions about its ultimate purpose and the deeper implications of its influence. While its immediate goals often seem clear, corruption, domination, and the propagation of excess, the larger questions surrounding its vision remain shrouded in mystery and open to interpretation. One of the most enduring mysteries is whether Slaanesh's vision is purely destructive or if it represents a deeper philosophy about existence. At first glance, the Dark Prince's influence appears to bring only ruin, consuming individuals and civilizations in a relentless spiral of indulgence and despair. However, some scholars and observers have speculated that Slaanesh may embody a form of chaotic creativity, seeking to break the constraints of order and mortality to give rise to something entirely new. Is Slaanesh merely a parasitic force, feeding on the desires of others? Or could it be a twisted creator, using destruction as a means of forging a different kind of reality? A related question concerns the ultimate endgame of Slaanesh's vision. Unlike the other Chaos gods, whose goals are rooted in clear concepts such as conquest, decay, or manipulation, Slaanesh's focus on excess and perfection seems more abstract and boundless. If every being in the galaxy were to succumb to its influence, would Slaanesh achieve fulfillment, or would its hunger grow even more insatiable? Some theorists suggest that the Dark Prince's vision is inherently self-defeating, as the pursuit of endless pleasure and sensation inevitably leads to stagnation and collapse. Others argue that this cycle of creation and destruction is the true essence of Slaanesh's vision, a perpetual state of transformation that defies conventional understanding. The relationship between Slaanesh and the Aeldari also raises significant questions. As the Chaos god born from their psychic excess, Slaanesh is intrinsically linked to the fate of the Aeldari species. Many wonder if the Dark Prince's fixation on the Aeldari represents an obsession, or if there is a more profound connection. Could Slaanesh's vision include the eventual consumption of every Aeldari soul, fulfilling the ultimate cycle of their fall, or does the Dark Prince derive more satisfaction from prolonging their suffering, savoring each moment of despair and resistance? Furthermore, the rise of the Inari and the potential awakening of Inead, the Aeldari god of death, introduces new complexities to this relationship. If Inead were to fully awaken, could it pose a genuine threat to Slaanesh, or would it simply fuel the Dark Prince's appetite further? Another lingering mystery lies in the nature of Slaanesh's realm within the warp. Unlike the brutal wastelands of Khorne or the decaying swamps of Nurgle, Slaanesh's domain is a place of breathtaking beauty and sensory overload. Some theorists suggest that this realm is not merely a reflection of Slaanesh's desires, but a prototype of the universe it seeks to create. If this is true, does it mean that Slaanesh's vision includes the reshaping of the material universe into a mirror of its domain? Such a transformation would be catastrophic, effectively erasing all existing structures and life to replace them with a warped version of perfection and indulgence. The origins of Slaanesh's power also invite speculation. While its birth was undoubtedly fueled by the psychic energy of the Aeldari, the Dark Prince's influence extends far beyond their species. This raises the question of whether Slaanesh's essence predates its manifestation in the warp. Could the fundamental forces that shaped Slaanesh have existed in some form before the Aeldari, lying dormant until their decadence gave it form? If so, does this imply that Slaanesh's vision is not limited to the galaxy, but is instead a universal constant, an inevitable consequence of sentient desire? On an individual level, the mechanism of Slaanesh's seduction and control remains an area of intrigue. Its ability to manipulate the deepest desires of its victims suggests an almost omniscient understanding of their minds and souls. How does Slaanesh achieve this level of insight? Does it reflect a unique connection to the psychic fabric of the warp, or is it an innate ability tied to its very nature? Understanding this process could provide crucial insight into the nature of temptation and the fine line between freedom and enslavement. Finally, there is the question of Slaanesh's relationship with the other Chaos gods. While they are often seen as rivals, their coexistence within the Imperium suggests a deeper interdependence. Is Slaanesh's vision in direct opposition to those of Khorne, Nurgle, and Tazinch, or does it serve as a necessary counterbalance to their ambitions? Some speculate that the Chaos gods are not truly separate entities, but aspects of a singular chaotic force, with Slaanesh representing the most personal and intimate facet of this power. If this is true, could the Dark Prince's vision be part of a greater unified chaos agenda that transcends individual identities? These unanswered questions and speculative theories highlight the complexity of Slaanesh's role in the Warhammer 40,000 universe. The Dark Prince's vision is not simply a blueprint for domination, but a multifaceted enigma that challenges the very nature of existence, morality, and the pursuit of fulfillment. Each mystery adds another layer to the allure and horror of Slaanesh, ensuring that its influence remains as captivating as it is destructive. The long-term consequences of Slaanesh's vision for the universe ripple across both the material and immaterial realms, leaving an enduring impact on civilizations, cultures, and the very fabric of existence. Unlike the immediate devastation caused by war or conquest, the influence of the Dark Prince is far more pervasive and insidious, embedding itself in the psyche of those it touches and shaping their futures in ways that may not be fully realized for millennia. For the Aeldari, the legacy of Slaanesh's birth is a defining aspect of their existence. The psychic wound inflicted by their fall remains unhealed, forcing the survivors to live in constant vigilance against the pull of their darker impulses. The creation of soul stones and the rigid path system are direct responses to this threat, yet these measures are not without their costs. The emotional suppression required by the path system has stifled much of the creativity and passion that once defined the Aeldari, leaving their culture a shadow of its former glory. Even with the rise of the Inari and their attempts to awaken Iniad, the specter of Slaanesh looms large, a reminder that any misstep could lead to total annihilation. In the Imperium of Man, Slaanesh's influence is both a constant threat and a cautionary tale. The countless cults and conspiracies it fosters undermine the already fragile stability of human society, challenging the rigid control of the ecclesiarchy and the Inquisition. These cults, often hidden in plain sight, are not just sources of chaos, but also symptoms of deeper societal issues. The oppressive nature of the Imperium, with its unrelenting demands and denial of personal freedom, creates fertile ground for Slaanesh's temptations. Over time, this cycle of repression and corruption has become an unspoken element of the Imperium's identity, a reminder that even the most disciplined societies are not immune to the allure of excess. Slaanesh's vision also leaves a profound mark on the galaxy's cultural and artistic landscape. Many of the most captivating works of art, music, and literature owe their existence to the influence of the Dark Prince, either directly or indirectly. These creations, while often breathtaking in their beauty, carry a hidden darkness that reflects their origins. They serve as both a testament to the power of inspiration and a warning about the dangers of obsession and excess. In this way, Slaanesh's legacy is as much about creation as it is about destruction, blurring the lines between these two forces in ways that challenge conventional understanding. On the battlefield, the long-term consequences of Slaanesh's vision are equally significant. The warriors and champions who serve the Dark Prince bring a level of unpredictability and psychological warfare that disrupts traditional military strategies. Their presence forces opposing forces to adapt, often at great cost, and introduces an element of chaos that can change the course of entire wars. Over centuries, this has shaped the evolution of warfare itself, influencing the tactics and doctrines of those who seek to counter Slaanesh's forces. Within the Imperium, Slaanesh's existence has permanently altered the balance of power among the Chaos Gods. Its birth introduced a new dynamic to their eternal rivalries, forcing them to adapt their strategies and goals. While the other gods may despise Slaanesh, they are also shaped by its presence, as its focus on desire and perfection challenges their own dominions. This interplay ensures that Slaanesh's vision is not confined to its own domain, but reverberates across the entire spectrum of chaos, influencing its collective impact on the material universe. Perhaps the most significant long-term consequence of Slaanesh's vision is its role as a mirror to the desires and flaws of sentient beings. The Dark Prince does not impose its will through brute force or coercion. Instead, it amplifies the existing aspirations and weaknesses of its victims. This makes Slaanesh's influence deeply personal and enduring, as it forces individuals and societies to confront the darker aspects of their nature. In this way, Slaanesh acts as both a corrupter and a catalyst, driving those it touches to explore the boundaries of their potential, for better or worse. The broader significance of Slaanesh's vision for the universe lies in its challenge to the status quo. While it is easy to view the Dark Prince as a purely destructive force, its influence also represents a form of rebellion against stagnation and conformity. By pushing the boundaries of what is possible, Slaanesh forces its victims to question their limitations and strive for something greater. However, this pursuit is inherently flawed, as it often leads to obsession, destruction, and the loss of identity. This paradox lies at the heart of Slaanesh's vision, the promise of transcendence that inevitably leads to ruin. In the grand tapestry of the Warhammer 40,000 universe, Slaanesh's vision serves as a reminder of the delicate balance between ambition and restraint, freedom and responsibility. Its influence is a cautionary tale about the dangers of excess and the price of unbridled desire, yet it also highlights the boundless potential of creativity and aspiration. This duality ensures that Slaanesh's impact will endure as long as sentient beings exist, shaping the course of the galaxy in ways that are both profound and unpredictable.